Hello everyone, this is our specific video for Module 2, Technology Integration in the Classroom. So this video is only going to cover Module 2 to give you a more in-depth idea of what it is I'm looking for, what you want to do to be successful if you choose to do Module 2. Again, you should hopefully have heard this several times by now. You are required to do 3 of the 4 modules. If you, after watching this video, reading the description, looking at the rubric, decide you don't want to do module 2, that is fine. You'll just do modules 1, 3, and 4. Again, it does not matter the order in which you do the modules, so long as you do one by spring break. I would suggest you start by reading the description. Of course, you'll want to do the readings. Again, these readings are not meant to be all-inclusive. There's no way for me to make an inclusive list because I don't know what everybody teaches. So if you need to go to the UNK library, Google Scholar, a Google search, whatever you need to do to add to your tools and repertoire, do that, but this is a good place to start. Now let's talk about the description and what you're looking to do. If you choose to do Module 2, what you're doing, what I call them is exemplar lesson plans, where you look very deeply at how you'd use educational technology in your lessons. Now, an exemplar lesson plan, you are going to be much, wasted enough times, more detailed than a standard lesson plan. I was a classroom teacher for a lot of years. I know that as teachers, we tend to put what we need just to kind of get them done when we mentally fill in a lot of the blanks. We know what our shorthand is. We know, kind of things by heart. We mentally fill in a lot of blanks. For these lesson plans, you cannot mentally fill in those blanks. These lesson plans will be much more in-depth than normal. That's why you're doing 3. Now, a couple things. In here, there is flexibility for people who maybe never been in the classroom before or who have not been in the classroom for a while, so you can read that. There's ways that you can work if you don't have access to lesson plans. Let's talk about that real quick. Right here, practicing teachers may use existing lesson plans as a base for their work. Students in the course who are not currently teaching or maybe have never been teaching before create their own lesson plans or find lesson plans online they can modify. Let's talk about this real quick. Turning in lesson plans are not the original work of the student or result in a 0 for the assignment. Modifying lesson plans to enhance them and address the educational technology needs of students addresses the original work requirement. So what that means is, again, if you're not a practicing teacher, you maybe need to go out and get something, but you would have to modify it to make it count. Turning something that says Houghton Mifflin, Pearson, etc., that's not going to work. That's going to get you 0, and you're going to not pass the class. But if you take the base material, modify it for yourself, put in the relevant standards, which we'll talk about more later, change it, focus on that education technology aspect, and build that in. I will accept that because I have to be flexible because we may have students in the class who don't have access to lesson plans. If you're worried about that, you want to just create your own lesson plan from scratch, that's fine. But you are allowed to use significantly modified lesson plans to address the original work requirement of the course. So in addition, you will, for each lesson plan, you will create a short video reflection on how they use or would have used the tools in each lesson, and you can read the rest on how you want to go about that. This is what I want to talk about right here, is you'll need to create 3 separate lesson plans for the scenario that will cover different material in each one. Obviously, I am focused, when I grade this, I'm going to focus on the education technology portion. So let's say, for instance, you're talking about Algebra 1. I mentioned how you can try not to mentally fill in the blanks. Mentally fill in the blanks for the Algebra 1 portion, I'm not going to stress that. The education technology portion is the part where you're really going to need to go really in depth. That's the part I'm going to be looking at. So if you shorthand the Algebra 1 portion a little bit, because I probably won't understand it anyway, that's fine. If you're a high school physics teacher, I'm not going to understand what you're doing anyway. So really focus on the education technology portion. Now this says 3 separate lesson plans. And right here, each lesson plan will cover a different technology tool and show a different potential use of the education technology. For example, formative assessment, summative assessment, enhanced participation, brainstorming. If you focus on a different portion, that is totally fine. I would suggest that you make it crystal clear. If you want to highlight, italicize, underline the educational technology portion of your lesson plan, make it really hard for me to miss it, I would suggest you do that. It makes it easier for you to get the points that you want to get. Now, you'll do 3 lesson plans. Each lesson plan will use a different technology tool. So for example, you cannot use Padlet for all three. It has to be a different tool and it has to be a different potential use in each lesson plan. So if lesson plan 1 is formative assessment, lesson 2 can be summative assessment, lesson 3, enhanced participation, or something else. You do not have to do these. These are examples, but you cannot have formative assessment all three. Hopefully that makes sense. Now let's jump to the assignment portion so you can look at the rubric. You can see lesson plan 1, 2, and 3. Integral part, keywords there, right? It's not an add-on or extra piece, right? Clearly defined. I should see right what technology tool you're using and how it benefits them, right? It's a specific part, it's a specific part of the lesson. Is that the introduction? Is that the students working in a group? Is they working by themselves? It's very, very clear. And then you will have a video reflection for each of the three. And of course, you do want your state standards. I'm okay with you putting this, just make sure you highlight that in each lesson. Just say, here's a standard, highlight in green, highlight in blue, make sure I see it so you get that easy point. Don't lose a one easy point in a class that only has 100 points. The video discusses in detail why they chose a technology tool, how it benefits the students and lessons, any issues or difficulties encountered, how this issue resolved, and how the tool can be used differently, more effectively in the future. Again, I'm aware that for some of you, you will be speaking to this in the hypothetical, and that's fine. These videos should last, 2, 3, 4 minutes. That is fine as long as you cover these things. How you choose to submit all of this to me, that is totally up to you. If you create a website, if you do something in a Google Doc, a Google Drive folder, if your school district has something else you use to bring it all together, that is fine. There's a fair amount of data here in detail. The big thing I want to make sure you understand is that when I see everything, I should be able to find everything very easily. If you create a Google Doc or something like that, make sure you share it with me correctly so I can see everything. So I can't see it, I can't grade it, you lose the points. So again, I'm at about the 7-minute mark, so I want to wrap up this video. If after you read all this and you want to double check something with me, feel free to email me. We'll just have a phone or video conference. We'll discuss something. Again, you're not required to do Module 2. This is one of your 4 options to choose from for your 3 submitted modules. Again, because I don't want that to be an issue, make sure one of these 3 modules is submitted before spring break. Thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to working with you online.